Hey guys, Big Mike here. I just wanted to take the time to talk a little bit about an artist who passed away recently. His name was Herb Trimpe. He's probably best known for the work that he did for Marvel Comics in the 70s. And he is kind of what I think of as a lunch pail guy. The late 60s and early 70s brought in a lot of new talent into comics, and some of that talent was revolutionary. Neil Adams bringing realism to comic book art, or at least more realism, I should say. Jim Steranko experimenting with a lot of psychedelic effects and interesting layouts. Bernie Wrightson becoming basically the best horror artist ever. Barry Windsor Smith bringing in the pre-Raphaelite influences. But there were a ton more. John Buscema, Rick Buckler, Sal Buscema, a lot of whom worked at Marvel, doing kind of the Ross Andru, kind of doing the nuts and bolts comic book work. They weren't the flashiest, but you give these guys a script, you give these guys a plot, you'll get a story, and 9 times out of 10, it'll look great and it'll be entertaining. I'm by no means diminishing Herb Trimpe's accomplishments by saying he wasn't one of those revolutionary artists. What he was somebody who took kind of a Jack Kirby influence and defined the look of a few characters, especially the Hulk, and produced a lot of great pages. Speaking of the Hulk, let's start with a couple Hulk comics. Oh, by the way, the Herb Trimpe comics I'm going to show you are comics I got signed at a convention. I think he was there 2 years ago. Very nice guy, very good to chat with. But anyway, Herb Trimpe. So I just want to point out he drew the Ant-Man serial in one of the Marvel 70s anthologies. He drew a book about a character called Phantom Eagle, who was an aviator, considered probably his best work. I have not tracked those down, but I've seen pages from him, and they're great. But the Hulk is probably what he's very best known for. This particular issue, number 140, was plotted by Harlan Ellison. Dun, dun, dun. The provocative science fiction writer, scripted by Roy Thomas, and actually Herb Trimpe only did the layouts, but you can kind of see his style poking through Sam Granger. Excuse me, sorry, I thought I had his name in my head, and I don't. There it is, Sam Granger. Sam Granger's finishes. But anyway, kind of some of the hallmarks of Herb Trimpe's style is he would take that Jack Kirby forward-thrusting action. You can kind of see it with the Hulk with his hands here, and also with the panel right before that, you can see the Hulk kind of leaping through space. There are a lot of panels in Herb Trimpe comics like that. He was very into kind of bringing the action into the reader's face. His figures were very rounded. Again, he kind of got those Jack Kirby fingers too, sometimes the squarish fingers. But as you can see, there's a lot going on here. The Hulk is shrinking, going to the microverse. The Avengers are having to deal with this villain. His name's Cyclops. I don't think anything became of him story-wise. And you can see Trimpe navigating kind of the micro worlds with no words, but you can see what is happening in this block of text. You know, it's pretty typical Bronze Age purple prose, but you don't even need it. It's a bunch of disparate images that kind of still work together. And there we go. There's the Hulk, who had Bruce Banner's brain due to yada yada yada. Did he yet first? No. He arrives there with his usual Hulk smash speak. And there's one of those monsters. Herb Trimpe was very good with drawing these kind of, again, roundish, big monsters, which you'll see in a few comics he put to really good effect. So just to flip through a few pages, as I tend to do, because, hey, scanning and downloading images and putting them into these videos is for people with that kind of skill. Here's kind of a typical Hulk face. He drew the Hulk as kind of this brutish, childlike, somewhat ugly creature. Here's a rare smile from him, though. You don't usually see that in Hulk comic. It's usually more like, sorry about the lighting again, professional. We are professional. don't worry, you don't have to pay for this. But, you know, kind of just giving that typical Hulk mad look. There we are right there. And again, the action, here you go. He was very good with kind of little figures and big figures and give you a sense of size and impact. Anyway, moving on. I'm a What If junkie. You can publish anything under the name What If. No matter how bad it is, I will buy it. This is from the first series, the 70s series, when they were double-sized issues. What if the Hulk had the brain of Bruce Banner? What if #2? And again, signed by the man himself. And again, forward thrusting. Boom. Big dramatic splash pages. This is one of my favorite pages, by the guy. Double page spread. Yeah, I don't actually, sorry if this is sacrilege to fold it down like that. I don't care about the condition of my comics as long as they stay together, but I love this. These cops trying to kind of tackle the Hulk, and he's bellowing with rage, and you've got these Kirby-looking helicopters over here, and, you know, the action sweeps from left to right, the Hulk's size. The Riot Squad cops, maybe they're a little big, but whatever. Anyway, so this is actually a really goofy comic. Hey, there's Uatu, the Watcher, with kind of those Kirby squiggles to it. Again, I'm sorry I keep saying Kirby, but I mean, you kind of can't separate Herb Trimpe's Marvel art from Kirby. And he's not the only artist by any means for whom you can't do that. And there's an ad. Of course there's an ad. Is this a Hostess ad? Of course it's a Hostess ad. Professional. I love this close-up of the Hulk crushing a gun. But anyway, like I said, this is a weird comic. The Hulk gets the brain of Bruce Banner and solves all his problems with his brain. Few with his brawn, but mostly with his brain. You know, he reasons with Gargoyle. Again, Happy Hulk. Rare sight. Always looks kind of weird. But Herb Trimpe, inked by Tom Sutton, who did a great job, I would say. Did a good job here. I like this little sequence of Banner turning into the Hulk when he's driving. And we finally get a little bit of catharsis as he confronts Thunderbolt Ross, the general whose daughter he's in love with, who pursues him. And he is, you know, how does he get the general's attention? By destroying a Jeep. To which he said, "You destroyed that car. Government property." Ah, so silly. But anyway, domestic Hulk. He's only the Hulk at night at this point. So Bruce marries Betty, and they live in their own house. And the narration says something about a husband who turns into the Hulk 8 hours out of every 24 is not the worst thing that can happen to a marriage. Truer words were never written, Mr. Roy Thomas. Truer words. But anyway, Herb Trimpe, the man of the hour. Again, he meets the Fantastic Four. Everything just looks really nice, and he's not doing these crazy layouts. Again, some crazy events happen over the course of the story, which I don't even want to spoil the weirdness because I've already seen some of the off-model Galactus. Incidentally, alright, so the head doesn't look right, but I mean, those gigantic fists, the hands stretched out, the sheer size of the character, and the grandeur he instills in Reed Richards and Bruce Banner. Again, the helmet doesn't look quite right. Whatever. It's still a cool shot of the space god who devours worlds, causing humans to gape in awe and terror. So, again, good on you, Mr. Trimpe. Again, Herb Trimpe, he would do a lot of licensed books, including this Godzilla, King of Monsters. Toho Studios, I don't think they were ever thrilled with Marvel's Godzilla series. It only lasted, 24 issues? Yep, there it is. But Herb Trimpe and writer Doug Moench did a great job making a fun, entertaining book out of it. They could only use Godzilla. They couldn't use Mothra, Rodan, or any of those other Toho monsters, so they invented their own. There's Dum Dum Dugan. Again, look at that outstretched arm. There's the Big G himself. And again, he doesn't look like he did in the movies, but so what? It's a cool-looking big lizard guy. Who fought a big blob? No, he fought other monsters. He fought robots. He floated around in space. But again, this perspective here, he really looks like this titanic thing that's just going to destroy and destroy and destroy. And he said Mensch and Trimpe had to come up with monsters like the Beta Beast, which that one's a little goofy looking, but there are a few that they used. Again, goofy looking, but it works. It's fun. It's not taking itself seriously. It still looks fantastic. Now, I don't think I'm sure there's Godzilla movies where he lifts something over his head, but it's like anatomically, how can that work? It kind of can't, but you know what? Herb Trimpe makes it look like it can work. Famous, if there's any issues of this book that were famous, it's when, Godzilla is shrunk down to a tiny size and fights a rat in the sewers. Before that, Godzilla shrunk down to human size and fights Dum Dugan. What a wonderful cover that is. Again, the forward thrusting, the sense of perspective and size, and honestly, Herb Trimpe would kind of, and he's not the only one, cheat a little bit on perspective sometime on some of his covers I've noticed, but the effect is just awesome. In this series, he fought the Avengers, he fought the Champions, a kind of lame supergroup from the 70s that featured, Black Widow, Iceman, Ghost Rider, Hercules, and some other members all together. Never really worked, but anyway. Oh yeah, there he is, fighting Dum Dugan. A dude in a derby hat punches a dinosaur. How cool are comics? Especially in the Bronze Age. So, I'm going to show you a couple of less common, one less commonly seen Herb Trimpe story and one more modern story. So in 2008, Herb Trimpe drew some art for a backup story in a king-sized Hulk special when the Red Hulk was just introduced, about the history of the Hulk and the Abomination. And you know what, some older artists with modern coloring, it doesn't always quite work. I think this stuff still looks good, honestly. Especially considering, this panel of Betty Banner when she was dying, much more affecting than the original. And the original was drawn by Adam Kubert, who is, a very good artist who's worked a lot for Marvel and some for DC as well. But this is actually more visceral and more scary than the original page was. And again, the Hulk's history with the Abomination, as interpreted by Mr. Trimpe.